To begin, it would be too easy to say that my wife's cheating on me caught me off guard because I thought our marriage was strong. The truth is that things had been getting worse in our marriage for a while. What shocked me was that my loving wife thought I would give in to her demands and let her put me down. What it comes down to for me is that people mistake kindness for weakness. Let me tell you about myself and my wife. My name is Mark Richards. I'm 42 years old, and Lisa is my wife. Lisa turned 40 not long ago. Our 19-year-old daughter's in her first year of college. We've been married for 20 years. Our marriage had been getting worse for a while. Lisa was no longer interested in our relationship and had grown detached. We were still close, but it was getting weaker. I think that my wife went crazy when she turned 40 and had no more children to live with her. Sadly, our daughter Hannah was the one who first saw proof that my wife was crazy. Her last day off before going back to college, she had to use a computer while she was home for Christmas break. It was mine, so I told her to get the other one from our closet. Since my wife got a new computer for her birthday a few months ago, I didn't think it had been used. I gave Hannah the computer 30 minutes ago, and she stormed into my office right away. "The adult videos you've been watching and all the sea-holding stuff? What kind of kink stuff are you into?" I asked her. She looked at me blankly. Hannah put the computer in front of me and showed me a folder with a lot of movies that didn't have a name. I looked a few, and they are all that kinky videos. I can't believe you're into that stuff. How do you know about that? You're only 19, I asked. Come on, Dad, I'm not a baby. When did you get into this stuff? Shocked, I looked at the folder. That is your mother's computer. She's the only one who has ever used it. We continued to poke around on the computer, finding other folders. Another folder contained several articles on how to manipulate your husband into becoming submissive. It dawned on me that what we were looking at was several months old. We still had about an hour before Lisa would be home, so I had an idea to look at Lisa's new computer. Hannah retrieved it while I powered down the old one. This isn't going to work. She has her new one password protected. I grabbed her hand, walking her into the bedroom that was Lisa's office. Hidden underneath the desk drawer was a sheet of paper. Your mother is not good at remembering her passwords. When she got the old computer, I suggested that she write down all her passwords and keep them in one place. I opened a drawer, pulling out a paper that had the passwords for our household sites. Hannah looked at, "This doesn't have the password for her new computer." "I know," I said, reaching under the desk and pulling out another piece of paper. "This is her secret sheet. Like most things, she thinks she is clever in hiding this sheet. I saw her putting it here but never needed to look at it till now." I took a picture of the paper before putting it back in its hiding place. In seconds, her new computer was open with us searching for it. We found more submissive videos and articles on colding. Our search was cut short when we heard the garage door opening. We quickly powered down the computer, putting it back in the spot we found it. The items we found were kinky but didn't tell us if she was doing anything other than watching adult videos. Hannah agreed not to say anything on the condition that I keep her updated on my investigation. My investigation was only beginning as Hannah went back to school. Hannah was convinced that her mother was up to something other than just watching adult videos. She had noticed the same changes in my wife's attitude toward me that I had observed. Lisa's attitude toward Hannah was different too, but in a different way. I was hoping that Lisa had just an interest in adult videos, but deep inside I knew it was more. With work and other activities, it was nearly a week before I had enough alone time to search Lisa's computers. It was searching her browser history that I stumbled on her secret email account. Her secret sheet of passwords was not completely obvious as to what the passwords went to, but there were enough clues to quickly access her email account. Lucky for me, Lisa kept most of her emails. Most of the emails were with Mistress B. Mistress B was her self-titled submissive advisor. There was a long string of conversations with Mistress B, encouraging Lisa to turn me into a submissive husband. Lisa had explained to Mistress B that I would agree to do most of what Lisa asked and never argued with her. In most cases, she said I would give in rather than argue. Mistress B had the opinion that I must be a wimp and would easily be a willing, submissive husband. At one point, Lisa questioned her on what to do if I resisted. Mistress B told her to threaten me with divorce. She said that I would lose everything in a divorce and be living in a shoebox, paying Lisa to be with her lovers. I had to admit I was uneducated about divorce law. Certainly, I was aware that most men got screwed in a divorce even when they had done nothing wrong. Immediately, I made an appointment with one of the best divorce lawyers in the city. I sat down with Sarah Stone telling her my situation. Her assistant gave me a form to fill out with our employment and assets. She would look it over and have some answers for me in a couple of days. The big smile on Mrs. Stone's face when I walked into her office told me a lot. Don't worry, Mark. If you do have to live in a shoebox, it will be a really nice one. People should not listen to non-lawyers who don't have all the facts. Your wife is going to have a huge problem if she divorces you. I'm betting her so-called expert didn't even ask what you two did for a living. Your wife's business is valued at close to $1 million, but the liquid assets are not even half that. We will make an immediate demand for half the value of the company. She will have to find a way to pay you $500,000 or sell it. Her income will be calculated at the time we file, which will be equal to yours, so she will not get any maintenance. I can't advise you to do this, but your house is almost paid for. A large home equity loan put in a trust for Hannah's college expenses would shelter that money away from your wife. You both have essentially the same amounts in your retirement funds, so that will be a push. If you decide divorce is the option, we can do this. Is there any advantage to filing on the grounds of adultery? I asked. Not in the division of assets, but we might be able to use the evidence you are collecting to force her into a favorable settlement. I think it would hurt her business if her activities went public. Mrs. Stone agreed to prepare the paperwork and wait for my signal to have her served. We didn't have evidence of adultery other than the emails, but it looked like she was going there. We could use the time to shelter additional money from Lisa's grasp. I updated Hannah on what I found and what the divorce lawyer said. You think she's going to try to turn you into a submissive husband? That cheating woman? She can't really think you would go along with that. It's partly my fault. I give her everything she wants. I should stop it now, I replied. Wait, Dad, maybe you should play along. Do you really think she will stop if you put your foot down? She will just hide it, play along, and draw her into a trap. Oh, I like that, I replied. I continued to watch Lisa's secret email account. Mistress B instructed Lisa to cut me off from intimacy and be more demanding I do most of the household chores. Lisa was to gauge my response to her being nastier and demanding of me. Lisa was supposed to tell me that if I did just as she instructed, I would be rewarded with intimacy. Mistress B told her to always find faults with my work and to withhold intimacy. My compliance would be the signal that I was ready to be her wimp husband. I thought about standing up to her, but Mistress B told her that if I didn't go along, then she would change plans and humiliate me secretly. Just as Hannah suggested, I played along with her plan. I played my part well as the dominant male. I sheepishly did just as I was told. I was so angry with her that I was happy not to have intimacy with Lisa, but acted disappointed when she withheld intimacy. I knew the end was coming near when I read an email that Lisa told Mistress B that she had found her bull. He was a salesman for one of the suppliers of her business. Mistress B told Lisa that she should sample her new bull before springing the plan on me. I had been holding out hope that Lisa would come to her senses before she committed adultery. My blood boiled when I read an email a week after Lisa said she had found her bull. It was to Mistress B. I've experienced my partner in every way. I'm ready to make my husband submissive. Finding the bull's identity was easy. There were a couple of new emails from Jason Rose. He was thanking Lisa for a great night of intimacy. The last email, dated yesterday, was telling Lisa how much he was looking forward to putting me in my place. He had thought it over, and Steve said that he was excited to humiliate me and he wanted me to pleasure him. With some quick research, I found out all I could about Jason Rose. It was hard to believe he was going to be my bull. I thought a bull was supposed to be an imposing figure of a man. If I had the right Jason Rose, and I knew I did, this man was 5 foot 10 inches, about 180 pounds. I'm just over 6 foot tall at 200 pounds. True, he was 10 years younger than me, but from the pictures I saw, I could take him on my worst day. Steve was a salesman who was a supplier for Lisa's business, and he was married with 2 small children. I felt sorry for what was about to happen to his family. I watched their email for the next 2 weeks. Steve was kind enough to take a few POV photos of my wife with him. I'm sure he didn't realize that he had sent me the evidence I needed to prove my wife's adultery and ruin his own marriage. The email finally came. Lisa emailed Mistress B that she was ready to take out her plan. She thought I was ready and her bull was on board. Friday night was going to be the night. Lisa was going to spring her new rules on me before Steve came over to her. Her divorce threat was going to be used if I didn't immediately agree. Lisa even told Mistress B that she had a special gift for me to put me in my place. Mistress B, based on my compliance with all her previous demeaning acts, assured Lisa that I would comply. I had 3 days to prepare when I learned of the plan. My lawyer had the final draft of the divorce papers ready and gave me a copy. I had already obtained an email address and phone number for Steve's wife. Hannah was shocked when I told her the details of her mother's plan, but she loved how I was going to respond. Hannah would be on standby to do her part in my plan. Lisa was seated at the kitchen table when I walked in. She was looking a little nervous. I switched on the digital recorder I had in my pocket when she spoke up. "Mark, sit down. I need to talk to you about something." I tried not to smirk. "Can I change first?" She got in her authoritative voice. "No, you're going to sit down and listen. You are not going to interrupt." I sat in the chair, putting my briefcase next to me, before nodding to her. "We are going to have some changes here, and you will have to accept them. First thing, I'm going to be taking on a lover. He is coming over tonight to have intimacy with me. Your participation will be limited to cleaning me up and getting him ready to go again after he has had intimacy with me. You will continue to do the chores around the house and do whatever I tell you to do." Lisa paused, so I jumped in. Lisa was looking tense as she pushed the wrapped box over to me. Inside was a chastity cage. I had seen a few of them in the videos she had on her computer. I held up the cage and asked, "Are you done?" Lisa replied, "No, I have a little gift for you that you will start wearing. You will wear it all the time, and I will have the only key. Go ahead and open it." I think she thought I would respond in a different way. "I do want to let you know that there will be penalties if you don't agree." Even though I tried not to, I had to laugh a little. "Are you done now?" Lisa said, "Yes. Shouldn't you tell me that you'll divorce me and I have to live in a shoebox if I don't do what you say?" "Yes, those are some of the effects, so you should probably just go along with it." It seemed like her voice wasn't quite as strong because it was shaking a little. I took out my cell phone and sent the planned email to Steve's wife. Then I called Hannah. "Yes, honey, she told me the rules. You won't believe it, but she just gave me a cage to wear to stay pure." Lisa tried to get back in charge. "Put the phone down? Who the hell did you talk to?" I gave her a mean look. "Honey, I should let you go. I need to take care of this." I put the phone down on the table and looked up at my wife. Then I slammed my hand down hard. "If you want to talk to my daughter, don't bother me," I told her in a calm but strong voice. Lisa stood there with her mouth open. "Okay, pay attention to me. Let's go over what you just said again. Is this right? You want to have a guy come over to our house tonight and be close with you. I need to keep an eye on you. I think that this will go on with me being your loyal cold. Yes, indeed. This box is meant to be worn by me, and only you have the key. The last shot. You're going to divorce me, take everything I've worked for, and make me live in a shoebox if I don't agree. Does that sound about right?" Lisa felt a little more sure of herself and thought that things were still going her way. For sure, that's how things will turn out. Before I opened my suitcase, I picked it up and put it on the table. "Lisa, get your phone out and call Steve." Her self-confidence was quickly slipping away. "What? What is Steve?" I grabbed her phone and punched in her code to open it. As quickly as that, I called Steve from her contacts list and put him on speaker. "Do you know Steve?" "You're bull." Steve picked up the phone on the first ring. "Hey kid, how did the weakling handle it? Is he all set?" "Steve, I'm sorry, but this is still baby. This is the weak person." "Steve, I need to talk to you about something. When you met my wife, did you tell her you were married and had 2 young children?" "This is what my wife said, so I guess you didn't." "Also, did you tell your wife that you were going to spend the night with my wife?" "I guess not, since you haven't said anything. I took care of that for you, so don't worry." "Oh, and thanks for the pictures of you and my wife. I'm sure she'll handle it well. They will help your wife get a divorce, I'm sure. I'm sure I'll use them in mine." Steve replied angrily. "You son of a blip, I'll kill you." What a scary threat. That sounds like you want to hurt me badly. I reached into my bag and took my gun out. Lisa screamed when she saw it. "Lisa, now be quiet. I want to talk to your dog." Steve, do you know how to use guns? My gun's slide was pulled back. That sound was a 45 caliber pistol chambering a round, in case you don't know what that is. Recently, I've been interested in what a 45 caliber bullet could do to a man. We will both find out if you show up at my door. There was quiet for a while. Then I looked at Lisa, who was getting scared. I believe he ended the call. I forgot to tell him that I sent some of his emails to his boss as well. You should know that they have a strong rule against getting too close to their clients. Lisa, calm down. You were right before. We need to talk about some things. I took the cage in my hands and looked at it carefully. It was a little. I threw it to her. It's really small. I wouldn't fit in here, you know that. That's just one of the many bad decisions you've made, my sweet wife. Did you really think I'd agree with everything? Lisa began to stutter. I took a folder out of my folder and slid it across the table. What is this? She asked as she got ready to cry. The paper asked for a divorce. My lawyer, a woman who went to law school, told me that you should never listen to a woman on the internet who says she is a lawyer. I'll give you the main points. First, you're not going to take everything I have. And no, I'm not going to live in a trunk. Let's begin with what we have. I'm sure the woman who works for you now told you that you would get everything. That's not right. Our state is split 50-50. In other words, each of us is entitled to half of the things we own together. Had you told your guide that you ran a business that did well? I didn't think so. You'll notice that I want half of the business you built while we were married. I remember that the last time you got a loan, the company was worth $1 million. In the breakup, I want $500,000 in cash. Lisa began to stutter. It was just an estimate to make sure the loan would be paid back. You know that those aren't things that my company owns. Oh no, you might have to offer your company for sale. The second thing is that I'm not asking for repairs. Lucky for you, your reported income from the company, plus the benefits you've been getting from the company, are the same as my salary right now. What? She told him. You know you make more than I do. There you go again, listening to a woman on the internet. You see, your salary is based on what your company gives you, including perks like a car, trips, and other things. It's too bad you have to sell it to pay me back. She responded, You son of a blip, you planned this. No, I'm going to stop you there. You made plans for this. Everything I do is based on your ideas. What's going with your plan so far? Lisa began to cry very hard. I do not want to get a divorce. Can't we figure this out? Figure this out? You're crazy. You were going to lock me up. I have no idea what made you go crazy, but I'm done. I've known about your little plan, just so you know. Since you think being kind is a problem, that proves my point. Let me fix that for you. I'm going to stop being nice to you. I'll treat you badly just like you've treated me badly. Lisa started to cry. Mark, I'm sorry. I wanted to try something new and got caught up in the fun. Could we please forget about this? I realize now that I made a mistake by making you do this. You were looking for fun. It's mine to give you. It's going to be so fun. Going to court for a divorce, you'll love telling your family what a cheating wife you've become. Finally, you'll have to sell your business to pay me back, which will be a lot of fun. Look at how much fun you're going to have. Lisa kept telling me she was sorry and that she didn't mean for things to go this way. Someone began beating on the front door after she had been crying for more than an hour. I thought I knew who was at the door because of the loud beating. Before I went to the door, I got my 45. As I got to the door, someone yelled through it, "Open the door, you son of blip!" I moved away from the door, took out my phone, and called 911. Yes, I need the cops to come to my house right away. The boyfriend of my wife is at the door making threats against me. I'm armed, but I don't know if he is. I'm going to shoot him to protect myself if he comes in through the door. When I put the phone down, it was still linked to 911. Steve, move away from my door. The cops have been called and are on their way. Steve hit the door harder this time. It was clear he was trying to get in because of the loud booms. I'm going to kill you. I thought about letting him break in and shoot him if I opened the locks. I heard the sirens coming down the street before I could do that. Steve was being told by the cops to show his hands and move away from the door. I could hear them outside. When he didn't cooperate, I heard one of the officers announce, "Taser deployed." We found out later that Steve's wife lost it when she got my email running to her father. Her father lived next door, so he was there waiting when Steve drove up. Steve was barely able to escape with his life before he drove back to my door. I noticed large dents in the side of his car after he was arrested. They looked like baseball bat dents. Too bad his father-in-law didn't catch him before tried to break into our house with a gun, might have saved him jail time. The incident with Steve helped me get a restraining order against Steve, though I wouldn't need it till he got out of jail. I threatened Lisa with a restraining order if she didn't move out. I knew that no judge would grant it, but she didn't. Lisa moved in with her parents, kicking and screaming the whole time. She kept wanting to talk, saying that she didn't want a divorce. Lisa got a lawyer who insisted on a face-to-face meeting to work out the details of the divorce. Mrs. Stone told me to be ready for her to attack everything in the divorce petition, as the lawyer she hired was, in Mrs. Stone's words, a real scumbag. While he would talk loudly, she said he wasn't very bright. I was not to let him intimidate me. As expected, Lisa and her lawyer tried to talk me out of the divorce. She tried acting all sweet and innocent. Honey, this was all a big mistake. I thought this would enhance our marriage. You have to believe me that Steve and I never had intimacy. I didn't cheat on you. I just stared back at her, not saying a word. Her sleazy lawyer spoke up. Mr. Richards, we are willing to forget all this nonsense and forgive you for making baseless allegations of infidelity against Mrs. Richards. But if you insist on proceeding, we will be countersuing for slandering Mrs. Richards' good name. I laughed, looking at my lawyer. You said they would try this? Mrs. Stone opened one of the folders and slid several pictures to Lisa and her lawyer. I think these will prove differently. This shows you pleasuring him. I guess that isn't cheating. This one shows him with you from behind. I guess you could say that isn't you, but I'd know that back anywhere, including that little mole on your butt cheek. Oh, here's one of you riding. Steve takes nice photos, doesn't he? Did my future ex-wife forget to tell you I have these pictures thanks to her would-be bull? I paused, then looked right at Lisa. I'm not stopping the divorce. You can fight all you want, but I'm done with you. I pushed another photo to her lawyer. Here's a picture of the cage she wanted to put. No, I will not forget or forgive. Lisa and her lawyer started whispering. It was apparent that Lisa had not told him that Steve had taken pictures of them. Things were getting heated, but all I could make out was Lisa telling him, he said he had pictures, but I didn't believe him. I shut my eyes. He wasn't watching me while he was with me, Mrs. Stone said. Let's take a break so the lawyers can talk to their clients. After leaving the room, Mrs. Stone and I laughed. Lisa had a different look on her face when we got back. The innocent and sweet look was gone. Her lawyer told her, we are going to ask for counseling. That's what Mrs. Stone told me to expect. I told her they could put me through as many classes as they wanted. If we still can't get you to end this after counseling, we need to talk about how to split up the property. The way you want to divide assets is completely wrong. Lisa's lawyer took out the folder that had our property split papers in it. It's crazy that you want $500,000 for Mrs. Richards' business. Before we talk about numbers, we need to get an outside opinion on the business. Lisa looked at me and said, you know my business is worth about half that. My lawyer smiled at me and looked over at me. She pulled a stapled stack out of a folder and pushed it to Lisa. If you're Mrs. Richards, you might know this as a loan application for your business. When you look at the last page, you will see your name and a sentence that says you signed under oath. After getting it certified, you sent it by mail to the bank. You proved that your company was worth a little more than $1 million. The bank gave you a loan based on this form that you signed. It's very sad if you now say that the value of your business that you put on this application wasn't true. Not only would you be lying, but you would also be committing letter fraud because you used the mail. Even though I know your lawyer isn't a criminal lawyer, I'm sure he knows how seriously the feds take mail theft. I laughed and said, well, Lisa, maybe you'll be in a cage. Lisa turned pale and looked at her lawyer. There was some fighting before her lawyer told them the meeting was over. After a week, I was shocked to see Lisa standing outside my door. Lisa's hair was a mess, and it looked like she hadn't slept in days. Mark, let's talk. I let her in by opening the door. Didn't we do that the night you planned to make me a weak husband? It all happened at the kitchen table, which I led her to. Lisa, what do you want to talk about? Mark, I can't do this. I was stupid and wrong. I'm losing my mind and everything else. She won't talk to me. She hangs up on me every time I call and says I'm cheating on her. You want to put me in jail, and I'm going to lose my job. My folks are mad at me. I heard my dad telling my mom that I was cheating on her and that I should leave the house. Steve's wife told my mom she was going to kick my back when she went to my parents' house. It sounds like you're getting exactly what you deserve. Isn't it fun? I asked. Tears were streaming down her face. You really wouldn't put me in jail, would you? It's not me who will put you in jail. Like all things, your actions will put you there. Wasn't it you who was going to put me in a cage? Seems like the key is in the other hand now. I can't understand how you ever thought I would accept that. I'm sorry. I got caught up in the excitement of what I was seeing online. That woman told me you would enjoy it. She said the fact you took on the household chores and didn't complain signaled that you like being dominated, Lisa answered. Or maybe that I'm a nice guy who wanted to make his wife happy. Lisa, we're wasting our time. I'm not backing down. I would hate for you to take my compliance as a sign that I wanted to be a wimp. I suggest that you drop the demand that we have counseling and you find a buyer for your business. She fired her attorney and hired one less sleazy. The new attorney told her she was in a losing battle. He advised her to cut her losses. 2 months later, we were back in the same conference room at my lawyer's firm. Lisa looked as bad as she did when she showed up at my house. She looked completely defeated when she walked into the conference room. Mrs. Stone told me that Lisa had a contract to sell her business. After paying off her loans, she would clear only about $400,000. Their initial offer was for half. We rejected that offer and started off wanting it all. The meeting was to finalize the financial details of the divorce. Lisa's lawyer cleared his throat, pushing a folder to my lawyer. My client agrees to your latest settlement offer. Mr. Richards will have sole title to the marital house. Each party will retain their respective retirement accounts. The bank accounts were split 50-50 and will stay that way. The final item is Mrs. Richards' business. There is a contract on the business for $400,000. Once Mrs. Richards receives the funds, Mr. Richards will receive a check for $320,000. I'm assuming that we don't need to put Mr. Richards' agreement not to bring up the unpleasantries of that loan paperwork in the settlement agreement. Mrs. Stone stood up. No, I don't think you want that in writing anywhere. All we need to do now is file the signed divorce papers with this settlement. I think we are done here. I felt a little sorry for Lisa as the tears were running down her face. She looked up at me. Can we have just a few minutes to talk? I looked at Mrs. Stone, giving her a little wave that I would agree to talking. The other walked out of the room, leaving us alone. I'm so sorry, Mark. I know that I have no chance of winning back your trust, but can you please help me with Hannah? Our daughter won't have a civil conversation with me and won't agree to meet with me. When we do talk, she calls me horrible names. What did you expect? Did you think she would support you putting me in a cage and taking on other men to have intimacy with? There is nothing I can do to change her mind. You will have to work this out yourself. Lisa put her head down, shuffling out of the conference room. I so wanted to ask her how she was handling all the excitement she brought on herself, but that would be piling on. I had done enough. And so we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.